Hey guys, how's it going? MegaLugia here, one of your announcers for the MPL, and today we are back with Week 8 of the Power Rankings for the MPL Season 2, 3? Guys, it's early, forgive me, I kind of forgot what season we're in. Season 3, and I'm joined by my co-host this time, Turbo.
Yo, I'm back from holiday. I'm not going away again, ever, soon. So I'm back, and I hope you'll miss me.
Nice to see you back, man, while you ditch us while you're in Italy.
It was good. It was tanning, cooking up, training in the mountains for my MPL campaign. Shout out.
I'm sure it was good. And alright, so without further ado, let's hop into the power ranking. So at number 12 this week, we have someone who's, used to being here. We have Dench. And at the time recording, his match between him and the San Francisco 49tails has not been uploaded, so we don't have much to go by other than he lost. So for the sake of Dench, I'm going to go and assume that he got hacked out and the battle was all in his favor. He bought the perfect team, everything went his way, except he got froze for 20 turns and he lost the match. So that's why we have you at 12.
Yeah, we feel bad for Dench, but all that matters is he tries every week, and that's why it hurts so much when he loses. So it's just commendable to him that he's carried on and is playing on till the end. That's all good.
Yep, so that's all we have. Like I said, match hasn't been uploaded, so not much to go by. So Viridian Beetrils at number 12. Coming in at number 11, we have the Blackthorn Frogadiers, coached by Ioku. You want to start us off, Turbo?
Ioku, again, has played well. He's played well the last 3 weeks, but this week he was instantly put on a disadvantage when you're looking at team preview. He didn't bring anything dedicated for that Kieran Black, apart from the Clef Key, and that's just not a switching. Kieran Black gets Earth Power, okay, Clef gets Magnet Rise and dual screens, but Kieran Black is overpowering Clef Key 1v1 every day of the week. So the Frogs are then instantly put at a disadvantage. Then I think he hit the nuke button with Zardex a tiny bit too early, with a Kieran at full health, which is potentially Scarf, and a Gliscor, which is massively defensive with HP investment. He knows that. Smashing Zardex straight in and killing stuff straight away maybe wasn't the best idea. Maybe a bit more pivots around, potentially get rid of the Gliscor, and then he would have won the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, some good points there. Like I said, that play in the match was pretty crucial when he had the Zardex in versus the Gliscor. And the Gliscor lives on 2-3 HP, barely anything, and then gets the poison heal off, and it's just not a nice game to play from there. Like Turbo said, when you see Kiram at team preview and you basically don't have very, very reliable counters or checks to it, then you're already at a disadvantage. Not something you can put against you. Kieran Black is just a monster, but he played well. Hopefully see him bounce back next week and pick up a win. At number 10, we have the San Francisco 49tails, coached by Bizer, and this is the second half of the match that wasn't uploaded. So he picked up a win. We can't really see what he did, so again, we have him at number 10.
Don't take this.
Not much.
That's why I say it. Oh. Don't take this as offense, Bizer. If you'd uploaded, you would have been higher, but you don't upload, you don't go up in the power rankings. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we can't see your immaculate plays and everything that you did, so we're just gonna have you here at number 10. At number 9, we have the Leeds Rhyhorns, coached by Jordy. And
oh no, we don't. You do. I have my number 9. I have the Chicago Chandeliers. So we'll split off here. You can talk about Leeds, and I'll talk about the Chicago in a minute.
Yeah, forgive us for our mistake, guys. I've been on my own for these past 2 weeks. I'm not used to having someone here with me. So at number 9, I have the Leeds Rhyhorns, and basically the way I sum up this match is, it was just a game of over predictions for Jordy. Like, for a few examples, going for Psychic versus the Vaporeon with Thunderous, that was a bit risky, but you could have predicted the switch out on Mystic Spark, but when you saw the plays he was making during that game, you should have went and thought, okay, he's gonna stay in, he doesn't want to switch out, and you base off your game and you adapt to that. So it was just a game of over predictions, which cost him in the end. He stayed in with the Mamoswine versus the Galvantula, especially when he saw that the Galvantula had Energy Ball when he transformed into it with Ditto, so that's a risky play. U-turn with the Scizor versus the Lando, expecting the Vaporeon to come in. Again, another over prediction. If he went for the Bullet Punch, that would have taken him out and not risked his Scizor. Then the end game, going for Agility was pretty risky because, yes, you outspeed the rest of his team, but you are at low health. MegaLugia comes in with a fake out and ends the game there. So if he just, like I said, over predictions cost him this game. That's the key point that I want to stress. So that's why I have him here at number 9. And Turbo, what do you want to say?
The Chicago Chandeliers were basically massively outplayed by a very, very good Baltimore Briberies team with amazing prep. The Briberies are certainly back, as you can see. Chicago was just taken off guard by a Scarf a scarf that the Braveries had actually hidden quite well and bluffed really well. It ultimately ended up in a 5-0 victory for the Braveries, as Chicago was simply overpowered from team preview. They brought the wrong team in my opinion. I think they just need to there's only 2 weeks left of the main season, and their playoff hopes are not looking good, so I think they just need to play and try and hopefully make some controversy in the last 2 weeks as they match up against the 49 Tails, which could actually be a defining week for the 49 Tails. So if Chicago beat them, that could put their playoff hopes down, and their final matchup in the game week is game week 5 against the Anastar Umbreon. So they do have 2 crucial matchups for 2 teams who are creeping on the edge of the playoff spaces. So if they get 2 wins in the last 2 weeks, they can play for some pride and potentially cause some big changes in the league.
Good points right there. All right, so moving on to my number 8, I have the Chicago Chandelures in this place. And Turbo, what's your pick?
I have the Rhyhorns, the Elite Rhyhorns of this team. Of course, you were talking about the over predictions. I totally agree with you. I think that in a game, once you make one big over prediction, you can tell your opponent is slightly playing safer. I mean, if you do it once, maybe it's okay. Twice again is all right, depending on how the game's going. But once you start making over prediction after over prediction after over prediction, I don't see why you'd continue doing it. If you realize your opponent is playing safe, just play safe with him, and then there'll be a time where there's an obvious play where you can then make a bold prediction and gain momentum. The Leeds Rhyhorns didn't do this, and that's why the Umbreons had a really easy game, just pivoting around with their threats, and then the end game, just picking up the kill with Lando on the Sizzle, basically guaranteed them the victory. So Rhyhorns, you played too risky early on in my opinion. Just play safe, maybe make one bold prediction, it might cost you a mon, it might not, and then wait for your opportunity rather than going out guns blazing, making those bold plays early on. Never over predict on the first turn, just do it as simply as you can, is my opinion.
Very well said. So at my number 8, I have the Chicago Chandelures, and the reason why I have them here above the Rhyhorns is because they brought a good idea in Choice Scarf Lapras. You don't really expect it. The only problem or hindrance to that is, yes, you bring it in and you have that surprise factor. Okay, you get off like like water coverage and ice coverage against the Baltimore Braviers team work really well, but like I said, once that surprise factor is gone, you come in with Lapras and you outspeed something, you're locked into a move and you can just switch something else in. You may get one kill, like you could have gotten when you went for the freeze dry with the Lapras versus the Tyrantrum, you get that, but now he knows you're locked in, switches brings in the Infernape, and it's just basically GG from there. I like the idea. You don't really see a lot of people bring it, so I give him preps for that, but he was kind of just overpowered from team preview. And one more set I do want to talk about is bringing Poison Jab on the Sableye. So I realize why. It's for the Whimsicott. You have no other way of really denting it other than that, but think about it. When a Whimsicott is in versus a Sableye, all it's either going to do is Moonblast and knock you out, or U-turn and get out of there. In both instances, you're not going to be able to pick up the Poison Jab, and you lose that surprise factor as well. You may be able to say on a switch-in, you get the Whimsicott, but that's very risky, and you don't really want to be messing around with that, because once you reveal the Poison Jab, he's never going to switch it in again. So just future thought for when building next week. And coming in at the number 7 spot, we have the Anastar Umbreons. You want to kick us off?
The Umbreons played again they played a safe game, and again you play a safe game. They noticed that the Chicago team was just over predicting. Chicago team was just over predicting. No, Rhyhorns, sorry, my bad. We're just over predicting. They brought a great squad on team preview. Vaporeon again coming in, doing its defensive duties. Shaman's there, a lovely Zoroark as well, and the obvious broken core of Lando Eye and MegaLugia, but he did what he had to do. The end game was very, very good with his usage of Lando Eye, taking out massive threats like the Sizzle to his team and the Umbreon later on in the game. Also the Thunderous, sorry, my bad. He used the Shaman really, really well just to get chip damage off on everything, and the Galvantula was used great in the early game just to get a lot of damage off on different threats such as the Mamoswine. So he just played everything safely, killed off lots of big threats to his team, so Lando could just come in and break stuff like it does really, really well.
Yeah, you pretty much said everything I wanted to say. He did a really good job. He realized that Jordy was making some interesting plays, so he managed to capitalize on that. Like, he noticed the Mamoswine did a ton of damage to his team with ground and ice coverage, so he knocked it out straight away with the Galvantula. Shaman with Seed Flares is always a threat, getting that special defense drop, and just played a really good game. So yeah, that's why we have him here in number 7. At number 6, we have the St. Louis Sableyes, coached by Dan. And all I have to say is, Dan, I guess you were stressed. I don't know, man. You have too many leagues going on right now, but it was a it was a very questionable game that came on. When you see an extra drill in versus a Registeel, I think you should always have that in the back of your mind that he's gonna go for sub, because he literally loses nothing. He's faster than you. He gets behind the sub. He scouts for what you want to do, or if you do go for a counter like what you did in this game, it just basically loses you all momentum. And after that happened, you really couldn't come back from there. And extra drill was disgusting. You want to say
I mean, realistically, I did help Danicky play prep for this game. I didn't give him the Reggie set. I actually
so you're to blame.
I actually don't like Registeel and Leaves. I find it really passive and it doesn't do much, but that's a different issue. I think Dan tried to set up on the wrong mon 0 out of 10 times. Okay, the Scolipede had an Aqua Tail, and I think he was probably better off getting damage off on the Hippowdon with the Aqua Tail than trying to set up on it straight up behind a sub, because even if he got well winded out, he would have been able to do exactly the same thing again with the sub sword stance, just on a different mon, and he would have taken about 40% off the Hippowdon with the Aqua Tail anyway. I think he set up too prematurely. I liked the sets he brought. I think he just got too caught up in this one game plan where he had to set up with Scolipede and then beats everything. I think if he set up on a different mon that Sin brought, like potentially even if he'd set up on the Excadrill, if he double subbed up, and then even if the extra sub sword danced, the Scolipede would have been faster and would have broken his sub first and then killed it with a Earthquake the next turn. So it jumps around a bit. I think he just set up too prematurely on a different mon. I think if he'd waited and was a bit more patient, the game would have been different. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we also couldn't see his thought process since he uploaded, an amazing video with no commentary, so we couldn't really see. Why go for Muddy Water versus the Florges when you had Sludge Wave? I mean, you could have predicted the Excadrill to switch in, but you could see that Florges wasn't really going to be taking that much damage. It could have just recovered it off, and there was always that parrot chance. So go for Sludge Wave, super effective. Don't go for Muddy Water. That also has a chance to miss. Just my advice, but hey, that's why we have you here at number 6. Anything else you want to say before we move on? Okie dokie. So at number 5, we have the Detroit Lipards, coached by Cypher. And he picked up a win this week. It was against the Blackstone Frogadiers, and I like what he did. He brought more of a defensive team, the Gliscor, obviously the Venusaur, but he had that offensive check in the back with Kyurem. So I like what he did. He took our advice and brought some more defensive mons to rely on. And he picked up a really good win this week. Scarf, Outrage, Kyurem in the back at the end, pulled it off, and it was good to see.
We're just going to take full credit for the fact that Cypher won this week. Our great notes on the power ranking. I think I love the Tentacruel and the Gliscor core. Works really well. Great defensive core, especially paired with Mega Venusaur as well, which can hit quite hard, as well as Gliscor hits really hard as well. He used Gliscor perfectly, staying in on a Megazard X, knowing he could take the hit. It might have been a roll, but I think looking at it, the roll would have been in the Lipard's favour anyway, so it wasn't that haxy. In terms of that, he saved Kyurem. That's a big point. He had a Scarf Kyurem and he didn't send it in until the last turn of the match. It had no damage taken on it, so even if potentially Megazard X had killed the Gliscor, he had enough checks to keep Kyurem in the back and just outrage shit with his stupidly high attack, base 170, and he still would have come out with the win potentially. So he played the game really, really well. He just sat and waited to make his move and then did it and preserved his win check, which is really important. Bring teams like this, and you could actually if he keeps bringing teams like this with these big bulky mons and the stupidly hard hitters, he could be challenging that top 4, and he definitely have a really good shout in playoffs to pick up a surprise victory.
Yeah, and especially when you say bulky mons, I mean, let's not forget that Kyurem is pretty bulky as it is, so you could always bring a sub Roost set, and that could definitely put him some work as well. So moving into the top 4 slot, we have the Baltimore Braviaries at number 4. And they picked up a clean, decisive 5-0 win this week versus the Chicago Chandelures. Infernape didn't have to hit the field until the end, and that was great play because he knew that once he brought it in versus the rest of his team and they were whittled down, close combat, Flare Blitz, Mach Punch, like nothing could take that. And bringing defensive Rocky Helmet Tyrantrum to counter the Talonflame, great bring. 4 times resist the fire, 4 times resist fire and resisting the Brave Bird. Great bring there. Potentially, if Talonflame went for Will-O-Wisp, that could have made it a little bit more interesting, but I can't really fault him on his team prep. He did really
You can't
well.
Will-O-Wisp Infernape, it's a fire type.
Not Infernape.
Oh,
Not Infernape.
my bad. Yeah,
You think I don't know how to play this game?
the Briberies are back to their usual strength after that 6-0. They've played 2 weeks now. Is it 2 weeks or 1 week? 1 week since the 6-0, and they have been prepping excellently. Oh no, it's been 2 weeks since the 6-0. They've been prepping excellently. They've been back to what they're doing, being that dark horse in the race for the championship, in my opinion. Also, shout out to Moxie Infernape for becoming a analyst on the GBA. Good on you. But anyway, back to the game analysis. He played his cards really well. He wasn't taken off guard by the Scarf Lapras or the Poison Jab Sableye. He did the effective things in the game and did exactly what he needed to do to win. He knew his game plan from the start, and that's why it was a short video with the 5-0 sweep, if you want to say sweep. So GG to Moxie, and congratulations on your appointment as a GBA analyst.
Alright, so now we have the top 3 spot. And at my number 3, I have Token, and at Turbo's number 3, he has Aura. I'll let you.
So I just want to stress before we get into this, these top 3 spots, you're killing us. And then you got Moxie in the back, just being like, I want to hit this top 3. And then you've got the top 3 of Token, Aura, and Pat, and we're just like, it's just like, I don't want to insult. Like, you can't move them between each other and not insult one of them, because they all play amazingly every week. But when they match up against each other, you just have to match up. I've got Aura at 3, even though he beat Token, because I think the hacks in Aura's battle did give him a slight advantage. Okay, if there was no hacks in the game, it definitely would have been a really, really even game. Token brought an excellent team, and so did Aura. They both matched up against each other. Aura was making misplays during the game, and he won, even though he was making his misplays, like when he left the he timed out on the Slow King, and also when he didn't Mega with the Medicham, both being big detrimental, having big detrimental effects on his battle. So I think he did have a bit of luck coming into the end game. If the Scissor wasn't red carded, the end game might have been a tiny bit tighter, potentially Token played himself. Token ran out of rain turns by switching out, and I think that helped Aura a lot. So I think Token more presented Aura the win than Aura did as well, and also the game helped him out a lot as well. So that's my opinion on the game. It was still an excellently played match by both teams. It's just I think Aura was helped out by, let's say, external factors, and Token had the prep on him, in my opinion.
Alright, so since we have them both interchangeably in number 3 and number 2, we'll just talk about both of them. Like you said, the hacks that went against Token, that was unfortunate, very unfortunate. But that's the game we play, right? And you can never blame hacks for a loss. He didn't do that, so full credit to him. But a loss is a loss, and the hacks, the freeze definitely mattered. But he did pick up some good points. Like he even mentioned it during the match. The Togekiss hasn't been killed during the entire season, and he managed to pick up a kill there on the Togekiss. So that's worthy of mention as it is.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. On Token's front, his prep is always good. His prep is very, very good. I don't really understand the red card Scissor. I think his initial idea of it was very good, but the fact it cost him the game at the end game was potentially a bit detrimental to him. Everything else he played really, really well. The Sableye was played excellently. And also the Swampert. The Swampert is actually surprisingly good in League format, or somewhat viable just by the way Token's using it. So that's really good as well. I just think he got unlucky, and to full credit to him, he accepted the defeat extremely graciously, which is a great trait to have.
Yeah, like you said, the red card on the Scizor was just a bit questionable. I can see how it was meant to work, and it was very situational, but that's why I have problems with running certain items in leagues or like certain sets. Red card and eject button probably being my least favorite, because if it doesn't go right, then you just lost your item and your plan goes out the window, and you're gonna have to bounce back from that. So that's why, that's just my preference, why I don't like those kind of items, but I can see how it would have worked this match if it did pull it off. But yeah, that's why we have him. Well, I have him at number 3. Token has him at number 2. So do you want to move on to number 1, or do you want to talk about?
I think we summed up because the game was so even. I think that we summed it up both sides, just giving out both plays. They didn't make any bad plays between the two of them. It was just that was it. So we'll talk about number 1. We have Pterodactyl coming in at number 1, just with an expertly played game. The only reason he pulled ahead of the other two was because he won his game so comfortably. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was like, I can set up all over this Registeel because it's so passive, and that's why I don't like it in League format. It becomes set up auto if he hasn't got checks for it. He subbed up, which was a brilliant play, knowing the Registeel, even with the EQ, couldn't break his sub, or a Seismic Toss couldn't break his sub, because Extra has stupid high HP. That's really good. And then Swords Dance for dominance, and then killed everything. Basically, that's all he had to do.
It was really good. Like, one thing I think that, I guess, bit of insight into how I prep with my teams is you look at your opponent's team and you look at your team and you're like, all right, what do I have that is a major threat to him, and what's he always going to switch out on, and what can I get up a sub on? Because once you get up a free sub versus your opponent's team, you're going to pick up a lot of momentum. And he knew if he went for the Registeel might have EQ, might have Seismic Toss, but you're going to be faster than it anyway. So there's no drawback play by going for substitute. You can scout, and then if it does happen, as it did, you get up a free Swords Dance, and it's pretty much GG from there. Pat is just playing really well. He's consistently picking up wins. That's why he has to remain at the number 1 spot. And until he picks up one of those losses, we're gonna have to rethink it and maybe move him down. But as it is right now, his team is just too powerful, and that's why I think to stay at number 1.
As well, at the start of the game, if you watch it, Pat is extremely distracted, and everything's going wrong for him, and he's like, oh my god, I've lost this game already. And it shows that he came back from it straight up by just executing a game plan. It shows that if you have a game plan before the game, although the St. Louis did as well, if you have a game plan that's genuinely very good and execute it perfectly, which is what the St. Louis didn't do, it'll work no matter what state you're in, because you're effectively prepped and ready for the game. So, GG for Pat and the Cincinnati Staraptors.
Definitely, and he made sure to keep around his Hippowdon to the end and count the sand turns so that he could bring in the Hippowdon and make sure, Extra didn't only have 1 or 2 sand turns left, so he could outspeed the Jolteon and knock it out from there. So again, really good game, really good prep, and that's why he's here at number 1. Okay. And that rounds out the week 8 of the MPL Power Rankings, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching. Make sure to comment down below and let us know if you had any queries or something that you thought you might have changed with our placings, and we'll make sure to get back to you.
Yep. As per usual, thanks for all the support you give on the videos. I love reading the comments down below that people leave, and also the likes are really good, great views. So thanks for that. Make sure you check out all the channels in the descriptions below, and that's going to be me signing out. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm head out, guys. Peace out as well.